Today, we're talking the Maniere Air Jordan 2, your Airness.
Nothing hanging on to you, weighing me down with worry and responsibility. No getting used to
Yo, today we have a very special guest, and I'm gonna let him introduce himself real quick. Talk to the people, man.
How you doing, man? I appreciate you for having me. My name is James Whitner. I'm the owner and founder of the Whitaker Group. I'm just excited to be here and just fortunate that you're making the time to speak.
Appreciate you coming on, man. Long time in the making. Been working at it and finally got you on here. Thoughts for the Soul podcast. Wanted to talk to you about this special project, this special release that's about to come out pretty soon. Your Airness, the Maniere Jordan 2. Just want to get into a little bit of the specifics. When you went into designing, like the design process of the shoe, along with the Jordan 1, was it the process together, or was there any difference in the ethos of it?
Well, it's interesting because we haven't told this story much, so that's what specifically I held it to talk to you about it. And it's something that we wanted to wait till now to say, but yeah, these shoes were designed to release together.
Oh, wow!
Airness was supposed to be one story, and it was designed for it to work together with the one, and it was built for the one to accent the two and allow the two to really stand up and tell the story. So the one is actually inspired by the two, right? The story remains the same, but the design of the one was inspired by the two. But the way the releases fell, we couldn't talk about it, right? It was COVID, and airness was the thing that was most important, and we wanted to focus on the airness. But if you look at the idea of the expression of airness, the one helps amplify the story of the airness, but it was really about the essence of the two from a product perspective.
So the essence of the two, okay. Looking at the images, like you can say they have the same material, some of the same design, but the two is a little bit more bold in the statement when you look at the midsole. So, like, how did you and the team come up with that?
Well, if you go back to the Air Force One we done, right? It's a design detail that I love. I'm a huge fan of the midsole, just personally, and I'm not a fan of much. I'm surrounded by incredible people who make me look much more smart than I actually am. People who are just talented and creative, but in this case, it's just something that I personally love, midsoles, and for me, it's something that's easy to tinker with. So with the two, the Python is on the upper. So we were working on the two, and then it just like jumped out like a sore thumb. It's like, well, we wrapped the midsole of the Air Force One, if you remember, and working on the two, it was something that immediately we were like, no, because we even tinkered with the idea of wrapping the midsole of the 3. Me and Izzy went back and forth with that idea. Actually, Izzy will kill me for this. Izzy has a hand wash cold sample of the AJ3 with a wrap midsole that he wanted to come out bad. So I'll make you have to get with Izzy from Jordan Brand on that one, because I'll let Izzy tell that story. But it's one of Izzy's grails and something that he's super passionate about. So I'd be still in the show if I talked about that, but I'll let Iz do that. But once we got to the two, when the idea was thrown out there, you could see Iz's eyes just got big and was like, and I think he talks about it in some other interviews, and he just went with the developers on the team and went to make it work. I mean, I could say anything, right?
Right.
That team that has to bring it to life. And not enough credit goes to the team at Nike and Jordan Brand for bringing some of these ideas alive. So in this case specifically, Jordan Brand. So shout out to Iz, Bennett, Kim, Chad, developers, and the entire team. for helping bring this to life.
Yeah, I need to get with Izzy, man, because there's a hand like there's a 3. Oh man, with the rap midsole. Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta see what I gotta do to get a peek.
Hand watch Cold 3 is I don't think we ever sampled it. And if we did, I never seen it, but is would know.
Got you. So like you stated earlier, the 1 and the 2 was supposed to be a pack. It was supposed to come out. They were supposed to come out together.
Yes.
So your Airness is a continuation of Airness is all one, it lives and exists in one universe. So the story with your Airness, in Airness, as I learned now they were one story. Do you feel like from what you were communicating, what has been communicated through it, how do you feel like it has resonated? Do you feel like you accomplished a goal, if not many goals, in communicating the message through your Airness?
Yeah, I think we've done an excellent job, and shout out to our team on bringing the vision to life. Mark does brand for us, along with Evelyn and Chris and the team, and so many others. They brought the vision to life. And if I missed the Turner brothers, I don't know if I did or didn't. I don't want them to kill me.
Yeah.
It definitely came out visually, but it never resonates, right? Like there's some irony in I shouldn't say it never resonate. The message still doesn't resonate enough because today is the anniversary of George Floyd, and there's a bit of irony in that, right?
Right.
Yesterday, 19 kids got killed, right? So, we still Black in America, and we still fighting the system. So, I mean, our stories still have to continue to be told, and that's the importance of connecting and telling these stories. And it's why, like, I'll die and probably still not be fulfilled. It's you heard me say it a billion times, man. This is a lot bigger than sneakers, and it's bigger than one story. It has to be a continuous journey. We gotta keep pushing the narrative.
Right. And I mean, not even 2 weeks ago, you saw the man kill 10 Black people at the supermarket. And the headlines don't say he killed 10 people. It says killed 1 accused of killing 10.
Yes.
And it just speaks to the America that we still live in.
Yeah. And listen, the world treated us a lot differently 2 years ago than they are now.
Yeah.
You would think that there would be some change. We right back to pre-George Floyd. It didn't take us long. Now, are there people who are partnering with us and standing up? Yes, for sure. The partnership that we have with Jordan and Nike brand is very much the Jordan brand and Nike. I'm sorry, with Jordan brand and Nike is very much proof of the support we're being given, right? And less about us, right? Because this is singular to our team, but there's a responsibility that we have to do the work. And don't nobody know I'm committed to anything. I'm definitely committed to that.
Right. And I want to ask, how do you stay motivated to continue pressing forward, to give us all a voice? I mean, when you look at it, the sneaker community, the sneaker industry, fashion retail, it's much smaller than most people think. The community of consumers is much larger than what most people think, but it's still a niche. Like when it comes to sneakers, it's still a niche sector. So how do you continue to stay motivated to give us a voice in this space?
I'm from somewhere, yo. The end. Like I'm from somewhere. You from somewhere, you got to live with that.
Right.
Living it. I'm just simple. Like I'm not a tourist in this shit. Like I come from where I'm from.
Right. Yeah. And it's just, you keep pressing and you keep going, and you look at the stories that you told through every release, starting from last year with the Raised by Women's and the free lunch dunks. And now you have Airness, your Airness. Like you've created it is kind of crazy when I sit back and look at it, because you've told the stories from different aspects and different corners of Black lives, right? And you created like this sort of like universe within it, and it's not unreal. It's very real. Like, was that a goal going into the stories for each lunch, or?
Yeah, well, what other thing is like there's variation and there's depth in Blackness, right? Like, yo, some of us, all Black folks ain't poor. All
Right.
Black folks aren't in the projects. All Black folks aren't ignorant, right? And there's an adjusted position. The people would love to believe that, but it's not the case. Like, but there's beauty in the struggle, and the system has a lot of us in fucked up places. And excuse me, I don't know if I can cuss and messed up.
You got it.
So we always think about, or at least I think about, the generations, because we all here in America because we came as slaves, or most of us anyway, a high percentage of us, 90+% of us came here as slaves, right? So because of that, we had to come from the mud. So there's just the degrees of the mud. Because of the systems we in, there's a large percentage of us that still live in poverty. So when thinking about the stories, I'm always thinking about the juxtaposition of where we are. And I'm always conscious in understanding that I'm not telling my story. I'm telling our stories. So there's a lot of depth and width in our stories. And we have to be versatile in how we tell our story. And we got to acknowledge where we've been, where we are, where we're going.
Very true. And in telling the stories, you have created there's been these films. Want to congratulate you. I know didn't get the Webby, but the People's Choice Award for the Webby. Congratulate you and the team on that, because it was a phenomenal moment and a phenomenal film for Free Lunch. When you went into the process of making these films and to go in conjunction with the story to help the story, it's been some amazing talent, like you said earlier, with Dreadhead Films. And how do you go about sourcing and scouting and picking these people? Because it's a precious thing. You can't just entrust it with anyone. You could just slap, I want this team to do it. But how do you go about selecting people to bring the vision to life?
Well, it's for me, it's been a blessing. If you've ever had any exchanges with me, the one thing is I got a sixth sense for knowing who's with it and who ain't. And not to say we all humans, so I could be fooled, but thankfully, with Julian and Justin, like, yo, it was we met years ago when Julian was still in Morehouse, and I knew from that moment he wanted it, and he just needed an opportunity. And I know we want it, and we just needed an opportunity. So when opportunity presented itself, it was an easy decision for me.
Very quick intermission here. Had a few technical difficulties during the recording process. As we jump right back in, you will hear James speaking about Kyla Lacey, the poet who delivered the very powerful words on the Your Airness visual.
I've never actually met her. I just seen the passion in which she spoke, and that's all I needed to see. Didn't need to actually even speak with her. You can't fake that passion. The way she speaks about our plight, that connected with my soul. So it was easy for me. It was just saying to Mark, like, yo, for Airness 2, she's it.
And is that, yeah. She came in and it was so eloquent, elegant, and just it was very potent, and it really, really resonated. It was very deep.
And it catches is also trying to provide opportunities, right? Like be intentional about who we do media with, and help build each other up as well, right? Like, because if we get a voice, we're only as strong as some of the other voices that we create. So just learning that there's some level of intentionality in who we choose to work with and why.
Right, correct, and that truly is what it's all about. That's another key aspect of community. So I want to ask, like, so you I know you're gonna still continue to work hard or keep going with everything. You've solidified yourself a foundation, a baseline with everything. How have you seen any additional pressures with what I consider you to be the pulse of fashion retail in this community? If you've seen any pressures, added pressures, how do you handle those pressures of authentically intertwining the fabric of Black culture into this space?
Bro, I'll say 2 words to you, a couple words, but I'm gonna make this is the easiest question. Where I come from, only pressure is a pistol in the pack. This ain't no pressure. This is their cool might be intimidated by my real. So are they pressured? I don't feel nothing.
And this, hey, I got you. That's it on it. Like you said, it's not when you relate all of this to the real world and where you come from, where I've come from. You're right. There isn't that pressure shouldn't be added there in that way.
Yeah, never forget. So, I'm not a cool kid.
Right.
I'm a street kid and always will be. I know who I am. Right. I know who I connect to. I know who I relate to. I know where I'm from. I know where I'm trying to go. I know where I want to. I know what my vision is for the world. That's what it's all about. So if somebody's, I said again, if somebody's cool is intimidated by that, then the pressure's on them. Ain't no pressure on me.
Ain't no pressure on you. Correct.
Oh, well, and I'll say that it's not pressure. There's a responsibility. That's different though, right? There's a responsibility because now things are being given and too much is given, much is expected. And the expectation is from myself because I got to stare at myself in the mirror. So the pressure is from nobody else but me. The pressure is from when 19 bodies dropped as kids. The pressure is every time the police kill somebody. The pressure is when somebody shit on one of us and we got to stand up and take it. That's pressure. The rest of this ain't about nothing. And the only reason that's pressure is because I can't respond the way Malcolm X wanted to respond. I got to respond on some Martin Luther shit. But I really, really wish I could respond differently, but I can't. Right. So all I have to do now is channel that energy into as much positivity as I possibly can and try to push us as hard as I can. That's the responsibility. The rest of this is just the rest of it.
It's just the rest of it. And that is a more appropriate word, responsibility. The responsibility, handling the responsibility that you have on your shoulders to communicate these things, to continue to motivate and push us forward. So as you continue to tell our stories through the avenues that you have been gifted with and providing, through the avenues you have built, how do you, as those that are as closer to you, how do you feel like you keep them motivated to keep going and with the vision that you have for us out here in the world?
That's tough because you got to lead. You can't motivate. Well, you can, right? But people you need people to have some level of investment in themselves, right? And I consider myself a good leader, but as our organization gets bigger, the thing that we need, any good organization needs people that are self-starters. You need people who want to wake up and win, and they need help with the why, right? And even if they understand the why, their personal why has to connect to our collective why, right? If I got to go in and get somebody out of bed and get them dressed and give them the vision and give them the why, already lost, right? So the thing that we have to do is surround ourselves with people who want to shoot, who want to go after it, right? We at war, so you can't be at war unless you understand that you're going to have to use a weapon, right? And our weapon isn't guns, so it's probably a bad analogy, but our weapon is our work, right? So if you're not motivated to weaponize the work and play your part, then you probably shouldn't be on our team or around me.
Great. And that is a life mantra right there. And this conversation has unfolded beautifully. Let me get back to touch the shoe for a minute, right? So with each lunch, I feel like there's just as elegant pieces of clothing that is released with them. What goes into the intricacies of the designs of those garments?
Well, shout out to Sam and my man Pete over at Jordan Apparel, because again, they're cooking, and sometimes it's just been getting in the room with Mac and Pete and just like vibing out. Like the first thing we always start off every session in collection is there's understanding what Maniere stands for, and it's timeless, classic luxury, right? We have to be as intentional about building ours as Hiroshi was about building his, James was about building his, and Kim is about building his, right? So we try to approach it and understand that this is not something that we're looking to just be here for a season and go away. We want, how will people talk about us 25 years from now? And how do we want to stand or live 20, 30 years from now? How do we want that to look? So there's some level of intentionality in thinking about everything we're building from the start. And hopefully it lives far beyond me, right? But the goal is for us to build a legacy. So when we go into building pieces, we're thinking about that part, right? How they're going to stand the test of time. And then we start with key silhouettes, things that are important and relevant to us, and a why. Then we just work backwards. We really focus in on the story and how items connect to the story. So if you look at Airness specific, it was important for us to use the rose, the symbolism of the rose from concrete, and how also roses connect to people who are on the throne and just being royalty.
And the rose really was like the centerpiece, and it has truly just amplified the message, in my opinion. And so if you could say one thing to someone you were sitting in front of right now that's a doer, a creative, an artist, to help them on this journey, because it's a journey, life is a journey, what is one thing that you could say to them to help them keep fueled? They're doing the work. They want to do the work. They are doing the work despite what's going on. What is one thing you could say to them to keep them fueled on this journey?
It's a couple, right? Because first, you gotta work hard enough to understand what your thing is, right? Then once you understand what your thing is, you gotta make sure that you understand why it's uniquely yours. And then the next thing is, how can others see, why others see value in it, or how do others see value in it? Then figure out who sees value in it and why, and who you can help, right? Because if you help the right person, they're probably helping you as well, right? And sometimes that help doesn't, the transaction of the help, sometimes you make money, sometimes you don't, right? But the most important thing is there has to be a recognition of what it is, what's your added value, who it connects to, and how you could help show the work by working with somebody, or they can help you, help amplify what you're doing, right? And sometimes with an employer, it takes a while. It's a process, right? And you could be with somebody can go with the right employer and it takes them a day. Somebody can go with the right artist or whatever, and it takes a day. There's no magic. There's no magic or silver bullet. What it actually takes is perseverance and persistence, and continuing to double down and being happy and understanding what it is that you want and why. We're in a popularity era where it's about followers and likes. But I'm obviously more about who you are and what that means. Like I'm a guy who never wanted to be famous. Fuck about that, right? I'd rather be impactful. So you got to understand what it is. What are your goals, and how do you want to approach them? But I would say be persistent, persevere, but also be strategic.
Definitely put the battery in my back. Man, James, I truly want to say thank you, man, for coming on and having this conversation with me today. Means a lot. Been working at it for a long time myself. Just following you for years, just know before even seeing you in person, before stores opening up in Houston, just following your story for years. I truly appreciate you, man. If I've only looked up to one person in my life, my grandfather, my late grandfather, but and don't really have role models and idols. But if I did, you would be one of them, along with those that have left us, MLK, Malcolm, and those that are still here, LeBron. Like you, what you're doing out here in the world, not just for sneakers, just what you're doing in the world, period, man. It resonates deeply. It means a lot. I know while you're in it, while you're doing the work, you can't see it all the way, but there are people out here like myself that I have conversations with that see it. And I just want you to keep going and continue to do it, man. And I appreciate you taking the time out today to converse with me on not just about the shoes, just about life, about Blackness, period.
Yeah, and listen, I appreciate the words, and more importantly, I understand the responsibility. It's a lot that needs to happen out here, man, and I'm gonna work my hardest to try to do what we could do to make a dent in it.
Thank you again for tuning in today. This was a conversation that I had been hoping for and wanting for a while now. And I appreciate James coming on to converse not only about the Maniere Jordan 2, but Blackness, because Blackness has so much depth. It sometimes it cannot be explained or described, expounded upon. Till next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace.
You can be what you wanna be with dedication.